If you have a very toxic relationship with your brother or sister, in other words, you have an off again, on again relationship with your siblings, there's a high probability that you were raised by a narcissist. The reason why you and your siblings do not get along, and there's been a pattern of this behavior for a very long time, I'm talking about childhood. If you see a pattern consistently where childhood, your teenage years, all the way up into your adulthood, there's been a very toxic on again, off again, up and down, tumultuous relationship with your siblings. 1 minute you're speaking and then y'all fall out and you cut your sibling off for a very long time and then y'all go back to speaking again. Yes, your mother or father are narcissists. You have to look at the ringleader. The ringleader is the reason why you and your siblings have this division and always has. Okay, your ringleader is your mother or father, the person that raised you. That is the narcissist. And when you understand what narcissistic personality disorder is, you'll understand why your parents divided you and your siblings. This tactic where your narcissistic mother, your narcissistic father divide your siblings up, pit y'all against each other. They got y'all competing against each other, praising one sibling, shitting on the other sibling, keeping secrets from one another, telling your personal business to one sibling, like keeping drama going between y'all siblings. It's called triangulation. You have to understand that your narcissistic mother or father deliberately divided up their children and gave their children specific roles. So one child will be praised. That's the golden child. The other child will be the scapegoat. That's the child that receives most of the abuse. That's the child that the narcissistic, the parent will train the siblings to turn on this child. The narcissistic parent will teach the other children to bully the scapegoat child, okay? The narcissistic parent will assign a role to each child. And that is specifically to keep each child divided up and pitted against each other. The narcissistic parent needs to feel in control of their children. Because the narcissistic parent is abusive, highly manipulative, highly controlling, deceptive. That narcissistic parent is insecure, and the last thing that the narcissistic parent wants is for his children, his or her children, to come together collectively and compare notes and say, oh shit, mom is a piece of shit. Mom's been abusing us all this time. We need to cut mom off. Dad is abusive. Dad did that to you? Well, I didn't tell you about the time that dad did this to me. Oh shit, we need to cut dad off. That is the narcissistic parent's biggest fear, is his or her children coming together collectively and comparing notes. And once they compare notes, they figure that mom and dad are toxic and they've tried to destroy our relationship so that we can't be close as siblings. So now we must cut mom and dad off, because now we realize that what they were doing all these years was toxic and abusive and divisive. So we're going to cut mom and dad off and we're going to get close again, and we're going to build our relationship up so that we're close as siblings and we love and protect each other. Something that the narcissistic parent did not teach us growing up. So you got to understand how unhealthy parenting is, and that the narcissistic parent is extremely unhealthy, extremely toxic. They get off on watching their children fight each other. They sadistically enjoy starting fights amongst their children. They want their children to run and tattletale on each other. Mom, she did this to me. He did this to me. The siblings are at each other's throats, and that's because the narcissistic parent has put the battery in each of their backs, telling secrets to one child, gossiping to another child about the other child. And what happens when those children turn into adults and this behavior still continues? Your siblings as adults will be on the phone with your narcissistic mother or narcissistic father, gossiping and talking about you. Y'all are at each other's throats. And the first person everybody wants to run to and tattletale on, they're going to run to the ringleader, not realizing that it's the ringleader that started all the problems. It's the ringleader that stirred the pot. The ringleader wants to see their children separated and at odds, divided up. Because that's how the ringleader, the narcissist, stays in control of his children. But what happens when you realize that in order for you to have peace, you have to cut your mother and father off? And as much as you love your brother and sister, you're sitting back watching your brother and sister. They know your parents are fucking toxic, but they refuse to cut your parents off. They refuse to set a boundary because they are codependent on your parents. They are enmeshed with your parents as adults. They overlook your parents' toxicity because they need money, they need favors, they need validation from your mother and father. So they will overlook your parents' toxicity and abusive behavior. So what ends up happening, you can't trust your siblings because their loyalty is to your abusive, toxic parents. I like to refer to this as toxic loyalty. Your siblings refuse to cut the umbilical cord to your toxic parents because they need money, they need favors, they need their bills paid, they need some sort of validation, they need coddling, enabling. So they stay attached to mommy and daddy, overlooking mommy and daddy's abusive behaviors. So what happens is this puts you in a position, now you're side-eyeing your siblings and saying, I can't fucking trust you. Yeah, when we're together alone as siblings, we kick it and we have a good time. We're close and loving. But then you're sneaky and you're fucking two-faced and you always run back to mom or dad, knowing mom and dad are fucking toxic. And you sit up and you gossip about me. You tell all my personal business to mom. So therefore, I can't trust you as my sibling. As much as I love you, as much as I want to have a relationship with you, I cannot fucking trust you because you're a two-faced snake. You two are a narcissist just like the motherfucker that raised you. Therefore, not only do I have to cut off mom and dad, I gotta cut your toxic ass off too to save my own mental health. So if you grew up in a household where your parents divided you up from your siblings, pitch all against each other, praised one sibling and shitted on the other, bought more gifts and did more for one and shitted on the others, that is triangulation. If your mother gossips and tells all your business to your sister, that is triangulation because now your sister's in the streets gossiping about you. Your mother is the troublemaker, the fire starter, the ringleader. Your father is the troublemaker, ringleader, fire starter. So if your siblings are too motherfucking dumb to cut your parents off, your siblings are stuck in dysfunction, they refuse to see the error of your parents' ways and hold them accountable and set boundaries so that they can go to therapy and get healthy too, everybody got to get cut off. One band, one motherfucking sound, cut your fucking siblings off. It's okay if they talk about you and get mad and stalk you because God's going to show you more favor over all of them because you had the power to break the generational trauma and break the cycles of dysfunction. Let them motherfuckers stay stuck. Your siblings deserve every bit of trauma and bullshit coming their way because they refuse to cut off the ringleader.